Okay, first warm-up fight to test my shield tank versus a Shadow Cartel Atron, who immediately lays into me with its blasters. It should be able to do 150 to 200 DPS at least, and it has me within its optimal range. But very soon you can see it warp off. And why does it do that? Because if you look at my shields, they haven't dropped below 90%, so pilot was figuring nothing to win here. And then a Thrasher should be able to do more DPS, especially autocannon Thrashers, with this one is. It overshoots me a bit, but with autocannons, especially overheated, it should be doing upwards of 300 DPS at close range. And it's closing to its optimal now with hail. Unfortunately, hail is worst against shields, against shield tanks, because it's mostly explosive and kinetic damage, which my resists are best against. So I'm chasing it and slowly eating away at its armor now, and it has to decide if it's going to stay and maybe risk getting shot by a critical hit, but it's leaving. And as you can see, my shield dropped a little below 90%, between 80 and 90, but nothing to worry, since a shield peak recharge is at 33%. So up to the next challenge. Let's step it up a bit, and I found a stabber in a plex here. And I'm trying to slowboat towards it, as I have no propulsion mod, and it's sending its flight of drones, acolytes, against me, which is good, since acolytes do EM damage, so that's the best against my shields, which with the multi-spectrum shield hardener I have only 30% resist, so they're applying reasonably well. The stabber itself is coming a little bit closer, but decides to stay just out of my scorch range. Even though loaded, it never comes closer than 13 kilometers. Without any tackle and a propulsion mod, I cannot hope to get it any closer. So instead of it, I'm just focusing on his drones and try to shoot them down. As you can see, the stabber does a decent amount more damage than the Thrasher, primarily due to the acolytes, which are good against the shields, because if it's staying at 14 km, it's probably shooting at me with barrage, which is again mostly explosive and kinetic ammo, and it's getting me to maybe about 75% shields. Time for an even bigger challenge. This time a Vexor Navy. A Vexor Navy should be able to do upwards of 600 DPS. Its acolytes are again excellent against me with their EM damage, and its blasters, since this is a blaster fit Vexor, should be able to do decent damage from up close as well. And as you can see, it's well within the blaster optimal, as it at the tail chases me around the Stargate. And my shields is slowly going down further and further. You're seeing it drop below 70% now. And what I'm usually expecting with a Vexor is that it has a neutralizer as well. And with a neutralizer, my guns won't work, my shield hardener won't work. Even the small NOS is usually not enough to keep everything running on this fit. Why that is, I'll explain later. So for me, it's time to get out of here and leave the Vexor behind and jump through the Stargate before more of his friends arrive. So now the warm-up is over, time for some real PvP, and I find a pirate Firetail slide in on me in a novice flag. So I open fire, but I soon discover I can barely hit him, since he had a tracking disruptor on me, a web of fire, and has an afterburner as well, so he has total range control. So maybe a good time to discuss the fit I'm using. It's a Magnate Navy Issue, and the secret sauce is in the low slots, but of course every good shield fit starts with shield extenders, and I have 2 Republic Fleet shield extenders. which give a lot of hit points, as well as a multi-spectrum shield hardener. But as I said, the power is in the low slots, and each of these gives me a 25% reduction in shield recharge rate, so 25% faster for each of them. And additional, I have the Tech 2 rigs also giving me a 25% recharge rate. So these all add up together and give me a 215 raw hit points per second shield recharge, to which you have to add the resists, which are on average about 50%, slightly over. So that means I have a shield tank about 450 DPS. Only disadvantage is that my capacitor recharges very slowly. In the meantime, an enemy slasher has joined the fight, and initially it shoots at me, but discovers it's no use with my shields, and we both switch to the pirate Firetail, which is as well, since otherwise it would have probably bugged out, but now the slasher is tackling it for me, so I can shoot it and kill it. The slasher itself is already reasonably damaged. I'm shooting it with a few grazing shots, but again, as with usual, they bug out since I don't have a point. This next fight I already start in the middle of the fight, fighting a breacher that I found in a novice plex in Gamela, and it's hitting me pretty decently with the right ammo. Well, it's shooting Inferno. You can see by the explosion color it's doing thermal damage, and it's getting my shields to about 80% while I'm slowly chipping away at it while it's recharging its shields. Coming back to the fit, there's also one additional thing added to the secret sauce, which is that I'm carrying high-grade Nirvana Pirate implants, which give my shield additional hit points, and yeah, those make it so that my shield recharge is even higher than you do without, and the extra 30% it really helps for those critical situations. I'm getting the breacher into armor, but yeah, it decides to take some distance, and it has called in his friends, so I'm speeding up the footage a bit. The Punisher is also a really tanky ship. If you have seen my video about the shield Punisher, you can go crazy with that one as well. It's not as good as the Magnate Navy Issue, but the Punisher also are excellent armor tanks, and this guy has like autocannons fitted and is double plated armor. So it takes forever, especially with lasers, to slowly chew through that armor. But I'm getting there slowly. Punishers have about the effective hit points of your average tech cruiser when fully fitted like this. But fortunately for me, this guy has autocannons, and usually yeah, they fly a little bit on the cheap, these tackle Punishers, and they have tech 2 loaded and not specific factions, since it would be better to load EMPS. After he gets into structure, he bugs out. I was overheating briefly, hoping that a sudden whacking shot might kill him, but this guy is smart enough to get out of here and bring in his friends. So I'm now engaged with 4 of them, and I slowly try to chip away at those close to me and try to use my NOS to keep my multi-spectrum shield hardener running, because if I'm shooting my lasers a lot, yeah, the fit is not kept stable without the Nosferatu, and especially these conflagration crystals, they take a lot of capacitor. I'm switching targets since one of the Punishers is taking distance and the other one again as well, so they're switching targets, so I'm switching back to the breacher and just waiting how much other people they can bring. There's another one coming in, so we're now 4 versus a 1. And as you can see, my shields are slowly going in the direction of the 50% midpoint. But as I said, 30% is about peak recharge with shields. So I'm not worried at all yet. They should bring at least 2 more ships for me, for my shield to break with this kind of damage. At least 2 more Punishers. If they brought a few more Breachers with EM ammo loaded, they would only need 1 probably. As it slowly chipping down again, and hoping one of them stays a little bit too long. Four of them is clearly not enough to take me down, but if the Gripen bring more pilots, I will go down eventually, so I'm calling in militia and other channels for help.
Maverick Supersonic, I'll be there in 30 seconds.
Move your ass, get up here, I'm engaged with 5, repeat 5, I'm in deep shit!
Apparently nobody's eager to help in a 5 versus 1 situation, so I'll just have to outlast them and fight it out. This last pilot is brave enough to stay with his wingman until the last, and I get at least 1 kill. Of course, no story in EVE is complete without a ship loss, and no matter how well you are tanked, there are always more people about to kill you.